What if I told you that a narrow strip of water in the Middle East is the reason your grocery bill is about to get a whole lot uglier? Because that's exactly what's happening right now. And most people have no idea. Here's the setup: the Strait of Hormuz. This tiny shipping channel squeezed between Iran and Oman handles roughly 30% of all global fertilizer trade. Think of it like a major highway that nearly a third of the world's food production quietly depends on. Now imagine that highway suddenly getting blocked. That's not a hypothetical. That's February 2025. Since the Iran conflict escalated, that critical waterway has effectively been choked off, and the ripple effects are moving fast. Fertilizer doesn't just show up on farms by magic. Most of it is made using natural gas and then shipped across oceans from the Gulf, which happens to be the single biggest producing region on the planet. And here's where it gets really alarming. Bank of America analysts estimate that up to 65 to 70% of global urea supply is now at risk. Urea is the most common nitrogen fertilizer out there. It's basically the fuel your crops run on. No urea, no yield. Simple as that. What makes the timing even worse? This crisis landed right in the middle of the Northern Hemisphere spring planting season, the exact window when farmers across the US, Europe, and Asia are bulk buying fertilizer to prep their fields. It's like a petrol shortage hitting on the busiest travel weekend of the year. Demand is peaking and supply just got strangled. The result? Fertilizer prices have already surged 30 to 40% since February. That's not a blip. That's a seismic jump in one of farming's biggest costs, happening in just a matter of months. And for countries like South Africa, which imports 80% of its fertilizer, or Ethiopia, which sources 90% of its nitrogen fertilizer from the Gulf, this isn't just an inconvenience. It's a full-blown agricultural crisis. So what happens next? How does this feed into global inflation? And who actually gets hit the hardest? That's exactly what we're breaking down next. Now here's the part nobody talks about. Because every supply shock, every crisis, every disruption creates two groups of people: those getting crushed and those quietly cashing in. Let's start with the winners. And yes, there are winners. Companies like CF Industries in the US and Yara out of Norway are printing record profits right now. That's just basic economics. Supply drops, demand stays put, prices go up, and whoever's still producing gets to name their price. Same story for countries like Canada and Russia, which have domestic fertilizer production. They're not on the phone begging for supply. They're the ones getting called. Now, flip to the losers. And this list is way longer. Think about a smallholder farmer in Punjab, India, growing wheat and rice. Their fertilizer bill just jumped 30 to 40% overnight. But the price they get for their crops, that hasn't moved nearly as fast. Sound familiar? That's the exact same squeeze any business owner feels when input costs spike and revenues lag behind. And for import-dependent nations like Ethiopia and Rwanda, this isn't just economic pain. It tips into a genuine humanitarian crisis. Shrinking food supplies, soaring import bills, social pressure building. Now zoom out to your world. Wolfare Research estimates this shock could add around 2 percentage points to US food at home inflation. That's your grocery and packaged food category. And overall headline inflation could tick up by 0.15 percentage points. Those numbers sound small until you're the one watching your margins shrink in real time. And that trend, as you can see on screen, is moving in one direction only: up. If your business touches food in any way, restaurants, retail, supply chains, agri-inputs, this is your signal to pull out your supplier contracts and take a very hard look at your pricing strategy. Right now, not next quarter. So now that we know how bad the damage is, the real question is, where does this go from here? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? Here's the uncomfortable truth. This crisis didn't come out of nowhere. And it's not going to disappear quietly either. The global fertilizer supply chain has been running on a single artery for decades. Think of it like a city that built just one water pipeline to serve its entire population. The moment that pipe cracks, everyone is scrambling. And what's supposed to prevent that? Strategic fertilizer stockpiles. Emergency reserves held by governments or large buyers. Most countries simply don't have them. That right there is the first thing you need to understand, because the lack of those reserves is exactly what turns a regional conflict into a global food price shock. It's like running a business with zero cash buffer. The moment one supplier fails, you're completely at the mercy of whoever is still selling, at whatever price they want. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because crises have a way of forcing long overdue change. This disruption is already accelerating serious investment in domestic fertilizer production as more countries realize how dangerous import dependency really is. It's also fast-tracking green ammonia technology, a cleaner, locally producible alternative to conventional nitrogen fertilizers. And investors are paying attention because the strategic value is obvious. Governments are also fundamentally rethinking how much food security they've been outsourcing to global supply chains. And that rethink is going to mean real money flowing into local agricultural resilience. For business owners and entrepreneurs, that's not just a policy story. That's an opportunity. Agri-tech startups, precision farming tools, alternative fertilizer suppliers, food logistics companies. All of them are positioned to benefit as governments and corporations pour capital into reducing exactly this kind of systemic risk. So here's the bottom line. In the short term, expect higher food costs and tighter margins if your business touches agriculture or food at all. In the medium term, watch for policy shifts, new subsidies, and major investment flows into domestic food production and green agriculture tech, and the businesses that start building supply chain resilience right now, diversifying suppliers, locking in input costs, exploring local sourcing. Those are the ones that won't get caught completely flat-footed the next time a single waterway decides the fate of global food prices. And trust me, there will be a next time. Follow us for more updates like this. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and X.